Hello, it's Nikki. Welcome to part 2 of 3 of this little mini series. Now, I'm recording this on Tuesday, the 5th of January, and if you're in the UK, you will have seen and heard what happened last night, that we are now back in lockdown. So I just wanted to flag this up right now, and this is why quite often I don't batch content way in advance, which I'm sure my own coach would be like, Nikki, that's very irresponsible. It's a bit careless. You're not organised enough. But do you know what? In this ever-changing world, actually, I feel really pleased that I can come to you present right now, fully understanding. I mean, not fully understanding, but being fully aware of where we are in time and space. However, I hope today you will be able to gain some motivation, perhaps some clarity, a sense that what you want to be, do and have is still important. And there may suddenly be a few different obstacles in the mix now, whether that's you've suddenly got kids home from school, or there's a work situation that was happening and now isn't, and there are so many different circumstances at this time, and I'm not going to list them all. You know what it is for you that you have going on. But I want to say, first and foremost, which is what I was going to say anyway. How many times can I say anyway? Which is about goal setting. And this notion that goal setting is for only a select number of people, a select group. So sometimes we could go, oh, I'm not the kind of person who sets goals. Oh, no. And there's almost a bit of shame, a bit of fun maybe in like, oh, well, I'm not the kind of person who does that because they're probably going to fail anyway. And of course, I can give you the technological, the science, the specifics of how to truly maximize goal setting. But you know what? I feel like life can be a bit more fluid than that. And goal setting for me simply starts with the sense of, what do I want? What's important to me? And you can write these down if you want. What do I want? What's important to me? How do I want to spend my days? What makes me feel happy? How do I feel when I feel like me? So you know those moments where you have that expansion in your chest and that smile on your face and that lightness in your body, and you're like, oh, I love this. This is great. That's what I'm really interested in. Because I know society will say, like, this is how we're all going to, you feel like that always on a holiday. Or you, Christmas is a really, Christmas 2020 is a different story, of course. But there are those kind of markers in the calendar which are earmarked by society to be our feel-good days, or our things that we really look forward to. But I want to pose the question, how would it feel to feel good every day? I know, it's a really big but simple question. And it's one for a long time that I didn't really consider was possible. Because again, we're not really programmed for that. There's that sign, isn't there? Or there's that mantra, and we see it on art and Instagram and things like work hard, play hard, and be kind, something like that. And lots of those principles I really agree with. But also, I'm really interested in rest. I'm really interested in quiet time. I'm really interested in pottering time, in being creative, in taking things slowly. And the play hard thing sometimes feels like you have to, right, I've done all my work now I've really got to go for it, and I've got to have the best time ever. And all that external pressure can sometimes be too much. So that's, I guess, despite what's going on, that's all goal setting is. And it's the way that I see it, is being really discerning and giving yourself that time and space to ask those questions about your life and about your business, because there is always space, room, possibility to make the tweaks that you want. And that doesn't have to be that huge makeover moment of, I was nothing and I was this and I was that, and now look at me now, here she is coming in from a cat. It doesn't have to be that reality show version of it. And today I wanted to share a few examples, I guess, of the things that I wrote down. And this is just used as an example. This is not how you should do it, but maybe there could be some bits that you could take from today and be like, oh, I hadn't thought of, okay, I'm going to do that. Oh, I don't like the way Nikki's done that. No way, not doing that. Brilliant. Make it your own. This is the whole point. I actually said it on my newsletter yesterday. Take what you need from this and totally ditch the rest. That's the whole point. There are some things that, when I was at drama school, we had so many amazing, brilliant teachers and practices and techniques and theories. And ultimately, carrying that big toolkit around sometimes is just so overwhelming. But there will be some go-to things that you can take that you're like, I'm going to do that. When I wake up in the morning early, it makes me feel good. Or when I take my lunch outside, or I go for a walk around my local park or my local woods, it makes me feel good. It's about noticing, like, what are the hot things in your toolbox that you can play with. What I'm also going to be doing is starting you off today in this part 2, but you'll need to listen to part 3 on Friday, because this is kind of the section, not the section that nobody talks about, because I'm not professing to, be sharing something brand new, but it's sometimes the stuff that people mention less. So make sure you check it out, because hopefully that will really help the 3-part process to be pulled together. So the first thing I want to say, it's really important when you're doing this to be specific. However, in the beginning, when you're starting the process, you may be so far away from being able to get into the specifics, and that's okay. I've been doing this work for 10, 15 years, and this whole process for me, I found my own rhythm and being able to do it. So if you're just coming to it and you've only sort of started thinking about it in the last few years or things like that, and also as well, I've seen it with so many clients too, don't worry about having to get it perfect first time before you can move on. Sometimes it needs to be something that you keep going back to and refining and tweaking and things like that. So it almost starts like a big block of clay or wood or something like that, and as an artist you're starting to chisel it away, you're starting to shape it, you're starting to really enjoy that process of taking action and figuring out and bringing back layers and looking at what this thing might be. And it's very occasionally that you start with a piece of clay one day and you're like, do you know what? 43 minutes later, I've got the best piece of work of my life and I'm sorted and this is wonderful. Yes, of course, you might get that huge clarity in an afternoon, but just give yourself that permission to play, but also get to the stage the quickest you can of being specific. Because we can all, I guess, get stuck in floaty things. And what I mean by that is when people say 2021 is my year, or this is the year I'm going to get rich, or this is the year when I'm going to feel my most fabulous self, or this is the year when I just feel more like me, when I feel happier. And those are great goals, absolutely. but they're really hard to action on a day-to-day basis. So the more specific you can get about what that sentence, that idea, that notion looks and feels like to you, the easier it's going to be. Because therefore, if it's specific, you're going to be able to measure it. So if you, for example, set a money goal and I'm just going to use 100 quid just for ease, that if you say, right, by the end of the month, I want to earn 100 quid, rather than like by the end of the month, I really hope that I'm going to have some kind of cash in my bank account. If you say 100 by the end of the month, if on January the 18th, you're looking and you're like, oh, I've only got £2. Right, I'm a bit of a way off. I'm only 2% of the way there. That's going to give you an indication that there's work to be done, that there's still a bit of a gap from where you are now to where you want to get to. And this is the kind of third point of this, is when you're specific and when you can measure the process in doing this work, you're going to be able to identify what action you need to take. So going back to that money goal, if you're saying, right, I'm only 2% of the way there and I want to be 100% of the way there, what do I need to do in order to close that gap? What action do I need to take? And by working through that process, it actually gives you a sense that you are in control, that you have a say in the way that this goal reveals itself. And I absolutely love that. I hate that feeling if I just say, I just want to be happy, and then I'm hoping for something to come in and wow me or some external thing. I would much prefer to go inwards, which is often the hardest thing, but that's another story for another time, and go, what are the things that make me happy? How could I do that more on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, a yearly basis? So I'm going to share a few things from my process that I did, and hopefully they will help you in some way. So I firstly didn't actually set a goal for 2021, because actually 2021 being so unknown at the moment, it kind of felt too big. However, in my head, I can visualize between now and the end of March, the first quarter of the year. So I decided to make a decision to just plan that. So once I started to really be able to connect with that, I thought about what kind of season that we were in. I thought about what I wanted to bring forward from last year that really worked. I thought about the stuff that I didn't want to be doing anymore. And I started to write down some words. Some words that came to mind, some words that, I guess some phrases, just anything. I just allowed myself to journal on it and thinking like, what would I like and how would I like to feel is quite a good question as well in this first quarter. And very quickly, I started to identify some different categories. So the first one that I wrote down was health. And I naively probably wouldn't have written that first before, which now seems quite ridiculous, but health is very much at the forefront of my mind. So I'm going to just give you a few of the words that I wrote down. So I wrote health, number 1, exclamation mark, well, nourished, energized, vibrant, zingy, bright-eyed and bushy tail. I also put about nutritious, exciting food, less sugar, every time, more water, eat the rainbow. I also, so I'm just turning over the page, sleep, I put a priority. This is interesting as well, especially if you've got young kids as well. It can be hard because you're always giving that control over to little people or other people that might need you. but I am going to consciously try and make it a priority. Less screens. Also, exercise. I talked about what I wanted to do with that. I talked about stress and what makes me feel stressed and how I want to show up and all of those sorts of things. I'm not going to go into all of them, but just to give another example was I talked about family, like what I wanted my contribution to look like in terms of our family. Who do I want to be as a mum, as a partner, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend? And what does that version of family look like? I also set some money goals as well in terms of working out what I wanted to earn this year and then actually looking at what that would mean in quarter one. There's another fun exercise which, I guess a category which is maybe interesting to look at is upgrades. So we've lived in our house for 10 years this year, and there's definitely some things that we want to upgrade. And there's some things actually that you don't even notice, or I wouldn't have noticed before lockdown because you're just doing it. And then the other day I was like, we need to sort this pasta bowl situation. We are eating a lot of food as a family and we need to get some new bowls. We need to get that stuff sorted. And so actually thinking about this as a fun exercise, like what upgrades do you want to have this year? What would be the version of the thing or the experience or the process that you would like to have? And really allow yourself to play in this space. And I guess I should have said that as well in the beginning of really, I guess we're going for the ideal situation here. It can be really easy to hold yourself back, to assume that it's probably not going to work before. And again, going back to that limiting belief of, yeah, I'm just not the kind of person who sets goals, or like, I think that's for other people, or I think I missed the memo on that. No. Think about being in that space of discernment and deciding. If you were writing a Christmas list, and again, this might show up in a different way, you might go, oh, I don't know, just get me anything. But what might happen then on Christmas Day is you end up with something and you're like, when I said get me anything, I didn't mean this. Oh no. And again, we're taught to be really grateful and to do that very polite smile of like, oh no, thanks so much. No, it's great. It's great. And then on the inside, you're like, oh, I should have asked for the thing that I want. So what we're doing in this space is we're playing, we're exploring. And I want you just to enjoy this process of asking, what do you need and want? What is a version of a good life for you? And this can sometimes bring up some tough work sometimes as well, because once you start asking those questions, sometimes answering them brings up all kinds of other questions and it can feel quite full on moving forward. So I want you just to break it down slowly but surely and do what you need to do in this process. Now, I am only saying this because that's what I've got, and this is not like what you should be aiming for, but I had 17 categories. Now, they were really random to me, but they feel really good and they feel manageable. And actually the health one, I broke down into about 5 categories because I'm really prioritizing it this year. I'm really taking care of it. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, like there aren't 17 categories I need to think of. If you need to do 2 or 6 or 9 or however many, do that. Really listen to what you need and you want. But spend some time doing this and spend some time only doing this and giving it some thought, because your life is really important. And I know that you're a lovely person, and I know that you take care of other people, and you're reliable, and you're kind, and you're a go-to person, but also you're important. You're really important. And you have to take care of yourself. And it can be so easy to be swept along with life and what's always been. But I want you to check in and make sure that it is exactly what you want. Because this is a wonderful opportunity now to spend time tweaking and refining, like that art piece. It will very rarely, and for some people it needs to go this way, where somebody goes, right, that's it, I'm burning the whole thing down, I'm starting again, I'm going to go and live on my own in a tent in the middle of the desert, like that's what I need to do. But for many of us, it's about those small tweaks. It's about those, do you know what, I'm just going to say no to that. Or that thing that I used to do 3 times a week, do you know what? I don't need to do it 3 times a week. I'm going to do it once a week. I'm going to do it well, and that's going to be that. So enjoy the process. Enjoy this part 2. If you haven't listened to part 1, feel free to go back and listen to that, because it's a long one, but it's a good one. And you are welcome, as always, just to keep going back to these again and again whenever you need it, or if you want it when you're setting goals for the next quarter. If you want to send me or declare it, I guess, what you want to work on or think about, you're welcome. My DMs are open. You can contact me on Instagram at Nikki Raby, or you're welcome to email me hello@nikkyraby.com. I would love to hear. They are, of course, in complete confidence. They're not going to be read out and broadcast on part 3. Don't panic. But sometimes, we need to say it out loud. And I know there's been so many times when, as a kid, before I got savvy to the fact that, maybe I shouldn't say that, there's a real power in saying stuff out loud. And I remember as a kid saying stuff and I'd get sort of sniggered at, or even adults would be like, all right, love, you're like, don't get above your station. Whoa, listen to her. It's really important to say it out loud, because sometimes people will be not aligned with your dreaming big, and sometimes it can be uncomfortable for other people if other people see you going for it. So know that this is a safe space for you, and I would love to hear. Thank you as always for being here and being part of this process. And I'm sending you so much love wherever you are in the world. And that excites me as well. Like, where are you? Tell me where you are and what you're doing, and where do you listen? I would love to know. But thank you so much once again for all your support. I will see you on Friday for part 3. Lots of love.